we have to play a role, discover how we can play a role to try to tilt the situation in which, for example, what's happening in Manhattan and our organizing in Manhattan, which has been going on for several weeks now. This is typical of the way in which the people of the United States can get out of the mud which most of them are stuck with. Mm-hmm. Manhattan and its experience provides an occasion where people can assemble in fairly large numbers, of absolute numbers, mm-hmm. in an audience, perform an important performance of artistic and related nature. Mm-hmm. Walk out from that area rejoicing in what they've experienced and coming back now with more of them coming back for the next weekend's performance. Yep. We don't have that in Leesburg. I can tell you that for clear. Leesburg is a dump. And unfortunately, some of us are forced to inhabit that dump, which we regret very much. But there are parts of the United States where and New York is a good case of this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, New York City is a very mixed place when you take it on the average. But if you take within it, what does it allow to exist within it? And you'll find people of all walks in life, mm-hmm. in terms of financial, related states, education, so forth. And amid all the swirl and whirl and so forth of the Manhattan area, there are people there who will tend to assemble around themselves and to present an argument, a case, an experience, right, collective experience, which stimulates them and makes them rejoice in the fact that they were there. And that we don't have in much of the United States. We don't have that kind of thing. So I think what we have to do is take the case of the New York City experience, as we've experienced it recently as a sort of an experimental operation, mm-hmm. and realize that that is an example of what we must apply to what we discuss here in order to define the concept of how could we take this drudgery of the U.S. economy and its features, yeah, to recognize that there is, what kind of steps do we take, in what direction to turn this thing around so the old drudgery and the old degeneracy and so forth no longer controls us. Mm-hmm. We need a unity of effect. What has been happening in the organization in general is a drift. It's a drift in sloppy ways, going in sloppy directions with no clear ultimate interpretation of purpose. And what has happened in Manhattan and these operations in these recent weeks, the series of this stuff, has actually set a pattern which I've emphasized recently. This pattern is what we have to use as the way of organizing everything we organize in our own affairs. Without that coherence supplied in that way, and without using the fact of Manhattan, the New York City area, and using that as saying, well, that is and was the center of the United States, mm-hmm. in terms of the policy and history of the United States. Other places were important, but without Manhattan, there was nothing to pull them together. And this was the case beginning with our most famous statesman,
Hamilton.
Yes. Hamilton was a New Yorker. And so therefore Manhattan. And he was a great one, and he was shot because he was good, which was one of the things that happened in those days when the British were running around those. So that this is the issue, I think, which is what we have to emphasize and focus, because it's the only way, by taking a coherent view of the nature of the United States and the United States' relationship to the world of nations, is the only way that we can save the United States and save civilization. And New York is an excellent case for this thing, because you get a resonance and a response, a resonance among key people that you don't get anywhere else.